Okay, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a very cool and classic Hamilton to review for you, and let's go ahead and start off with a little bit about Hamilton. So they were founded in 1892 out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania in the US of A. They are now Swiss-made, of course, because they are owned by the Swatch Group, and Hamilton does fall into the Swatch Group hierarchy. As far as their tiers go, they're considered middle range, and they're kind of the sister brand to Tissot in that they cover, that kind of wide range of, models everywhere from, kind of entry level to mid-range, officially mid-range. So as a brand, they're considered middle range, but they do have many models that kind of cover a wide demographic. So I'd say if I was to classify this type of watch, it would be a classic field watch. So some key characteristics and design features you're going to look for is, something that's a modest kind of vintage size style. You want full numerals, the 12 and the 24-hour scale, and normally the dial would be in a black or a cream color. So this particular model is the Khaki Field Officer Handwinding. But many times it just kind of goes by the Khaki Mechanical. So with that said, let's go ahead and zoom out. And let's pick up the watch and get a little bit of a closer look while we dive into some of the specs. So, of course, this is a hand-winding watch, which is definitely nice and keeps the dimensions very trim, very slim case here. Price-wise, it's a steal, honestly. The retail price is $395, but you can find these anywhere from $225 to $250 online, and I think you'll find that if you try to look up these same specs and many other watches, and I'm not talking just Swiss made here. I mean, even micro brands and even watch mods. When you're trying to mod something to look similar to this, you're gonna end up paying a lot more, and you're not gonna get necessarily the same level of watch. So it's definitely extremely feature rich, and you'll see that as we kind of go through the specs here. So the case size is a 38 millimeter diameter, which is pretty classic sporty size. Definitely not a dressy size, but maybe by today's standards, it can feel a little bit on the dressier side. So I guess maybe if you wanted to put this on a crocodile strap, you probably could and get away with it. To kind of dress it up. The height is 9.5 millimeters high, so this is a very, very thin profiled watch. And a lot of that is due to the movement. It doesn't have to have any room for a rotor swinging around in there because it is manual wind, so that's really helps with that great profile there. It is, of course, made out of stainless steel, and it's finished with a bead blasted finish, which kind of gives it that really nice bright satin finish to it, which I really adore. So the sapphire is double domed, which is really nice. The crown is signed. It's a non-screw down though, which it would have been nice to have it to be screw down, but can't have everything. Definitely still very happy with it. The movement is an ETA mechanical 2804-2, which is hacking and hand windable, of course. And then the case back is solid and etched. It's nothing really special to look at, but let's go ahead and just for review's sake, take a quick peek at the case back. As you can see, very minimalist, very clean. Finally finished, and it really you can see the thin profile there without the strap. So the nice thing is, because it is already so thin, when you put it on a NATO, it doesn't make it any, it can actually afford to add a little bit of bulkiness to it, versus some watches are already bulky, then you put it on a NATO and then it's just even bulkier on your wrist. So that's definitely nice to have. So as far as the dial, hands, and lume, these are printed indices. You have a matte black dial. We have the date at 3, you know, painted hands, which definitely adds really nice contrast to the dial and really keeps within that theme. The Lume is a C1 Superluminova, so it's very clean and white, but it's not going to be, you know, super bright like a C3. The water resistance is 5 bar or 50 meters, which comes out to about 164 feet. So, you know, it's definitely going to be splash resistant. I probably wouldn't want to submerge the watch in anything too deep, or if at all, but it's definitely fine to get rained on or cleaned with water. So that's definitely nice to have, especially in a watch that you would expect to be, you know, a little bit more rugged for the military kind of design language. So as far as the strap goes, you know, it's 22 millimeters. It has drilled lugs, which is great. It actually comes with a canvas strap with a leather liner that has a 20 millimeter to 18 millimeter taper. So it's really actually a great strap out of box. I wasn't really crazy about the color combination, so I put it on this NATO International Admiralty Gray G10. Or you know, or slash NATO, and with the matte finish hardware, which I think really ties in perfectly to the finish of the case. And because it is kind of that darker gray with almost kind of hints of like a blue steel color to it, it makes it really versatile. And it's, you know, I can wear this with, you know, kind of a number of different outfits, and it really, you know, fashionably wise, it suits it. You know, really well. It kind of gives you that same versatility you get out of a metal bracelet, because it is kind of that more monotone color, and it's not going to clash with a lot. So that's really nice to see. Let's go ahead and get this on wrist. So I'll go ahead and do that on the camera for, you know, for those viewers that have never put on a NATO before. You can go ahead and see how I do it. There are a couple different ways, and I consider my way the right way, but you know, I'm no guru. So you can see we just feed this in here. Oh, a little tough with gloves. So then there's a little bit of slack, and then you're just gonna fold the slack back in. Some people fold it inwards underneath. I like to fold it out, you know, especially if I have enough tongue to where it's gonna fit in there. If it's a shorter NATO, then I might tuck it inwards so that it's not gonna be seen. But that's pretty much how I do it. I think it looks great. The good thing I think about wearing it on NATO is, although it's kind of a smaller diameter, the NATO actually adds, you know, a little bit of weight to it. I mean, not physical weight, but I think visual weight. And it makes, especially, you know, it's non-tapering. It kind of gives the watch a little bit of bulk and kind of makes it just look a little bit more modern. I think proportions-wise, you know, but I think, you know, aesthetically, it's really a classic look to have a field watch on a NATO. Kind of belongs on it. So really happy with the way it looks, and it's extremely wearable. You know, my wife normally doesn't like it when I wear NATOs, but she specifically a couple times has pointed out this watch and asked me to wear it. So, you know, I guess it's doing something right. So it has really classic proportions on wrist. You know, it can fit almost any situations, really. As far as model variants go, there's also a green dial with canvas strap. And then, of course, the you know, the Hamilton Khaki Field line. There's tons of different variations and sizes and colors and finishes. So way too many for one video, but those are out there. I'd say as far as comparable models go, you know, something similar, you know, similar offering, probably from the Swatch Group, would be the Longines Heritage Military COSD. It's about 5 times the cost, unfortunately, but it does have that 2892 A2 movement. So also from ETA, of course, you know, but it's going to have a much nicer finishing on it. Very slim profile, you know, and then it has a cream or black dial option, you know, and with a NATO or croc leather option as well. So That's a very expensive option, but it's a great looking watch. I mean, it's a field watch. I'd say it almost has more. It definitely has more personality, but it's kind of polarizing in some ways because it is polished, which is a little strange for a field watch. It has the blued hands, which I really like, with the cream dial. And it's just it's a really great looking watch, and I hope to eventually get it on the channel for you guys. But that would be another option that's a lot more expensive, and I think honestly it's tough to beat this watch, especially at the price, which is pretty nuts. Really, I'd say the bottom line is, this is an amazing entry-level piece, with a movement you'll find in much more expensive pieces. I mean, literally micro brands are selling watches with these movements $700, $800, $900. So, this is not, the most common movement, and it is very slim, and it does carry a little bit of brand cash with it, in that it's a reliable, windable movement from ETA, which, of course, their supplies are getting, shortened down. Who knows what's going to happen? I've read a couple things recently that kind of can make it go either way. But it's definitely a nice movement. Classic Hamilton name, of course, carries a lot of weight. It's a well-known brand, so although it's considered middle range or really entry level to most, it's a great great company, and you really can't knock. They have the history and the pedigree. They were one of America's biggest watchmakers when they were still. I guess their phrase now, they still have that, American heart, with Swiss precision. So really cool. Honestly, this classic design, there's a lot of other higher priced options to get a field watch, a reliable one. And I mean, it goes, and I'm talking everywhere from micro brand to, if you were to mod a Seiko to achieve a similar look or style, you'd end up paying more money for that. And I love Seiko mods. So this is, I'd say, one of those watches where it's, it's one of the reasons why you maybe don't need to mod a watch, because you can get something like this. So maybe give that mod a second thought. And believe me, I love mods. I'm not saying anything negative about it. I'm just saying that there are values out there like this watch, and it makes the value proposition for a lot of other micro brand and modded watches. It makes it a little bit tougher to argue. So really great piece. Highly recommend it. Classic watch. I'm sure you'll see it pop up on my Instagram every once in a while. So if you haven't already started following my Instagram, go ahead and check us out. I'll leave links in the description. If you like the video, please hit like, so we can get a little bit more coverage out there. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. Actually, you know what? We forgot to do a Lume shot. I mean, this isn't a Lume rich watch, but it does have Lume. So let's go ahead and get the shot. Let me get it to lock in and then turn it off. All right, so as you can see, minimal amount of Lume there, but definitely does the job. I was actually really surprised to see that, kind of the continuous Lume that's painted on the second hand, which is pretty cool. I think those hour markers are pretty tiny, but, still really nice. So probably the only shortcoming with this watch is that the Lume is, but honestly, I've seen a lot worse, so can't really get mad at it or fault it for that. It's a simple watch, great looking, affordable. I mean, has great pedigree, very respectable brand. So with that said, guys, I appreciate all the support. Stay tuned, and make sure you check out more videos. Thanks.